Hey YouTube, so this is the disassembly of the OM642 to change the PCV and the exhaust gas temperature sensor. We'll see if we can get some of this off. So first step is going to be undoing this Jubilee clip to the inlet manifold. Just get that nice and loose. Okay, and next steps will be taking off these 3 sensor connectors, unclipping these 2 clips on the inlet manifold and just very gently pulling out this inlet manifold. Also there's another connector there on the heater for the PCV. Okay, let's get into that. Just a quick bit of advice, probably best leave the center in, lift these wings out and be very careful with these 2 oval seals. I changed those in a previous video. So take all the sensors off, and then when you lift it up, just be careful to lift gently and keep pushing towards the turbo. You really want to get the whole orange seal off with the housing assembly, with this bat wing as it's called, and then I'll try and do it one-handedly. You can just get this seal to just ease out on the PCV as well. Okay, so you should get the assembly away like that. The reason to be careful with that center orange seal is it's really easy to damage that little rubber pin. It's just trying to keep that in place there. Comes through as one on the top and one on the bottom. And as you can see, plenty of oil in my turbocharger today. Hopefully the PCV change might fix that. Not quite sure yet how we're going to go. I'll just show you what's going on down there in the turbo. I actually put this cloth, this is a dish cloth. Some could say a fire risk, but I think it's quite effective. Just soaks up the oil, stops it dripping down there, down through the engine. And I change this pretty regularly. That's actually more oil than last time. Last time it was dry when I took it out. So we'll get a new one of those into there today. So just mop up that bit of oil. And in the turbo, give that a bit of a clean up. You can see that I have had oil dripping down there before. I mean, what a crazy design. Okay, let's get on to the next step. So next, just to remove all of this bulkhead, you can actually ease this out. There's a clip down the bottom, the edge here, but it should just ease up. It is actually tucked under this trim seal. You can see that there. So lift that up at this side. Sorry, I was telling you wrong. Okay, you actually start by getting this main seal off, which pulls out from this end piece. And it looks like it's all coming out together. Okay, that's what I was trying to show you. This end piece is loose and it clips into the edge of the car there, and the main seal goes across. We can just pull that and we can just leave that out the way on the other side of the engine bay for the rest of the day. We'll grab that a bit later, no need to disturb it on that piece. So what we're really interested in, this would have actually lifted out even without taking all that seal out. We'll get that off. Next bit, we're going to take all of this out, but this cold air duct, sorry, this water drain duct will be coming out. So we'll take out this screw, take out this water drain duct, take out this piece, which is the drain down, it goes down through the wheel well. We're going to take out these screws, these 2 fixings here, which looks like I even forgot to screw them up last time. They're 10mm, and then also a fixing here at the front. And then we'll be able to take out, if I told you slightly right or wrongly, so we're going to, this centre piece also lifts out by itself, but we're going to try and take out this whole piece here so that we can really get down. So there's another couple of fixings here at the back. I'll show you those once we get it all out and you'll see what's going on. Sorry, it's a little bit dark and black down there. Me slowly, sorry, a little bit, couldn't remember quite what was the gig going on there. So first of all, you want to grab yourself a Torx 20. So that's my Torx 20 there, and take out this screw here, sorry, and this screw here, and then this panel will be able to lift out just like that. You can see it's got a seal on it. It's a bit tricky. It's got a little ledge there. It clips over to go back up in. And the reason we need that out is that gives us all the access we need to all of this. Now, I think you can take this heat shield out as well. So the whole back bulkhead. There's some other bits of that we might remove. as we go, but you don't really need to. You've got a lot of room now to work in there and really see what's going on, and that will help us a lot more also to get these air cleaner screws out, which you'll see I'm going to do next to get the air cleaner out of the way. Before I do that, I've also taken out this one up here. So this was an M8. Sorry, this was an M8 up here in the top for this air hose. So that just pulls out from that side and lifts up. Got a little plastic clip on it there. Okay, that's got that air drain hose out the way. And then this one here, just because it'll get in your way a bit, you just twist it, lift it up. It's really a bit of a pain. But after a lot of wiggling, that's the brake booster. You can just get that one. Out the way. So that's going to not get on your arm. So we're going to be working down here a lot. It's a bit of a stretch under this hood strut. My garage isn't high enough to lift the hood up vertically. So we're just going to deep dive in there. So now you can see the connector for the exhaust gas temperature, and you can see the PCV where we're going to be working. Okay, next step, I think, is to get this air cleaner and air cleaner assembly out the way. Okay, these are the Torx 30s that were down there holding the air cleaner, just two of those. Be very careful with the back one. As you lift it up, hold onto the screw real tight, because it can quite easily drop down the back there. Then the air cleaner assembly just lifts up. Mine's looking a bit grubby, might give it a bit of a clean later. And with mine, it did this last time as well. So just be careful, the seals actually come away with the air cleaner itself. So I'll just wiggle that back down. I'll just be reassembling that back in the groove on the air cleaner housing. So the air cleaner housing, to get that out, it's this big pin here. So I'm going to get my female Torx onto that, my socket set, and this one here. And then this pipe also lifts off at the front, so you can just tug on this. So that's the cold air inlet. So that's coming off the front of the top of the grill there, above the radiator. And then you'll see how that air box is held in at the bottom when I lift that out. Okay, so undone that front. It's an E10, the size of that external socket. So just get a bit of light on that. It's an E10. This one's an E10. This is kind of captive. Doesn't lift out from the housing. And when you lift up this air filter housing, you will have to tug really hard. And it'll surprise you. You think you're going to break something, but actually what's going on is that there's a couple of plastic legs at the bottom of that housing, and they drop into those rubber grommets down there. You should be able to see just underneath, next to the exhaust manifold. Okay, next step's going to be to take off all of these connectors. So I'm going to get this one off the metal bracket, get this one off the metal bracket, get it undone, get this off the metal bracket, probably take this off the metal bracket, the pressure sensor from the, I think that's the pressure sensor either side of the selective catalytic converter, the SCR, reducer, sorry, and clean all this area up, and then take off this bracket using these two bolts under here. So if you can't quite see those, it's that bolt there and that bolt down there. Okay, once I've done that, then we'll move on and get to the next brackets. Okay, just show you what's going on here. So the pressure sensor, I just unbolted the bolt and the nut, took the little bracket off, which looks like that, and the locking nut. I just got that out of the way, got that connector off, which is really tough. Just give it a good pull with pushing the clips down. Took the connector off the Lambda probe there, just tuck that out the way. This connector, which is the one that we're going to be changing for the exhaust gas, this one just pulled off, so you can see the little hook on the bracket there. So that pulled off the bracket once I'd undone that clip. So now I can get that out the way. Okay, and just tuck the Lambda probe up out the way. So now I get this metal bracket off, you can see those two bolts much easier now, which will get me a lot more room. Last time I did this, I left this bracket on, or pulled it to the side, I think, and it was really hard. You wait till we see the bolts at the back there to get this PCV valve off. Okay, next step's to undo these three bolts. So this one's got the bracket for the Lambda probe, this one's at the front, and this one's over here in the EGR housing. So they take those out, and you'll be able to take off the turbo cover. Let's get those out of the way. And then we'll be able to take off the turbo cover, in theory. Turbo heat shield. Okay. There we go. Get that out of the way. Okay, now we can see a bit more what's going on. There's a temperature sensor there at the back, and we're still heading down here. So next thing, take off this engine lift bracket. Those two bolts down there, pretty hard to get to, but we'll give them a go and then see what we can see. Okay, now we've got to that stage. Now we can see a little bit better what we're doing. There's the nut, sorry, the I don't know, what do you call it, the union, the nut, the bolt that goes into the turbo housing. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking we still didn't gain as much room as we want to. So I'm going to take off the EGR, sorry, the PCV first and show you how to do that. It'll get me a tiny bit more room here. Could take off the fuel rail, but I don't think that's really going to help. I think the next thing would be to take off, if this doesn't work out, take off the downpipe and maybe the turbo. Wish me luck. A little bit of a turbo leak there. Not sure what that's doing. Anyway, let's keep going. Onward and upward. Worth just showing you how I got onto these two bolts for the PCV. I'm not sure if you can see that there, but I've got my little ratchet going and I've got an 8mm socket because my E10 won't fit on the bolt, but an 8mm will, and you can see I've just got my fingers between the bulkhead and the socket to stop the socket falling off. Also can show you on mine that these are just loose in the top of the cam case cover there, so I can just unscrew that by hand. I have had these out before when I was looking before. They are super hard to get to. What does help is I've got the new one to have a look at how the screws were, but I got on the internet and also had a look at how other people's are. Okay, that's the first bolt out. Put that nice and safe. Now the second one might still just be, yeah, just gonna have to get the socket back on there. Just bear with me. I should be able to show you this one just coming out as well. I've just got my fingertip just rolling that one down the threads. Clearly not a great look if you drop one of these down. I'm not sure I've even got a good hold of that one. Let's try it with the other hand. I may even have to take these gloves off to get a little bit more traction on that. Okay, I'm going to put the camera down so I don't drop that one, I think. Just one last try. It's really hard to tell if it's even turning. Okay, I'm going to put the camera down and whip that one out. Okay, in the end got it off by getting the E10 on the end and just turning it. You can see the thread's really dry, but it's still really easy to not get that turning. Okay, let's show you how to get the PCV off. Actually, if I can find somewhere to put that bolt safely, you just jump straight in. So then it's just a case of, hopefully, I don't know if it's going to do it this time, just wobbling that against its O-ring and just easing it out. Be very careful because it's square in the bore. It's quite easy to damage something there. I think last time I put a piece of, I had to get something, yeah, I think I've got to get something there between the flange just to ease that side out. This side you couldn't pull on because of the pipe, that side's just a bit harder to get it to go. Okay, I'll get into that and get that out, then we'll have a look. Okay, so after much wiggling forward and backwards with the screwdriver on that bottom edge, now you can see I've got it out, and you can see what I was meaning about the tapered thread. Okay, so that is how you remove your PCV. There's the number on mine. It's a 1791, made in 2014. I have no idea if that's any good or not. I've blown in it manually, both ends. I've cleaned it, I've looked at it, and now I've just given up and decided to change it. Okay, after a quick check on the new one, it's a 17. So I don't know if the old one's 17, we'll see in a minute. And I've gone and fetched all of my 17mm spanners. Can't use the ring spanner because, really unfortunately, the connector is just too big to go through the 17. Which is crazy really, isn't it? If they'd have used a 19, then they could have got the ring spanner on the end. I'm hoping it's not too hot down there. If it is, and sorry, rusted up, if it is, then we'll see what we're going to do next. In the meantime, maybe each of these got a slightly different shape. We'll see how much purchase we can get. Okay, so I got the open-ended spanner down there, so these ones, and they just didn't seem to fit the nut very well. So I really wanted to use the ring, as I showed you in the last video, the step just before. I couldn't do that because it wouldn't go over the connector. So magically I've got the spanner down there over the nut. I'll show you that just now, and that is how. I've just snipped the old connector off because it's super important I get this one out cleanly. Not so much worried about getting the new one in. I can always lubricate the threads and don't have to tighten it up quite so tight. You can see there I've got this spanner on the nut and it's just touching against the downpipe. I've got 4 spanners. Nicely, some of them have got different angles on those on the 12 star drive at the end of the spanner, so they go on the nut slightly differently. This one you can see fits really well just against the downpipe. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just rearrange this spanner a little bit so that it comes out in front of the turbo here, and I can get a better purchase on that nut. And I'm also going to put a bit of WD-40 on that nut and let it soak in and see if that makes a difference. Okay, wish me luck guys. Okay, so very excited. This time I put a second spanner on top of my first spanner, which I did modify. Gave it a little push, actually a big push, and sure enough, it's cracked free. So if I show you what I did to my spanner previously, I had to make it into a bit of a special shape there. I've had this spanner since I was about, well, let's just say I've had this spanner over 35 years. It's not quite the same shape as it was, but I really wanted to get it nice and square against that exhaust sensor nut, and it's come free. So I'm just going to get that undone and we'll get it out, see what it looks like. Okay, so this is taking quite a while. I just thought I'd show you a hint. Instead of trying to get a 17 ring to do its work, and instead of a 17 flat, which always binds a little bit every time you're trying to get it on, you can use an 18mm, just slightly bigger spanner, and that just fits over the flats really nicely, and you can just wiggle it out. This is taking some kind of turning, I tell you. There must be 10 threads. Every turn is a 1/12 of a thread. That's 120 of these we need to do to get it out. She's coming now. I'll just put the camera down because that is hard. Okay, so we've got the threads out. I think you should be able to see that there. Next interesting thing is, does the sensor even come out against the block, or do you have to lift the turbo? Let's find out. So very excited. Got the sensor out. Compare it to the new sensor. They look quite similar, unless you move the nut up and you realise, ooh, it's a different sensor. So, back to the drawing board or the parts list. Car's in pieces now. Don't think it's going to go anywhere in a hurry. Definitely not going to put it back together just for fun. Time to get on the phone and ring around. Also, lesson noted, don't do this on a Saturday afternoon. All the shops are closed. Okay, I'll have a think and we'll come back.